S. presents educational video lectures as per the AICTE curriculum. Difficult concepts made easy. Study anywhere, anytime.
How we can see the different objects. The different objects can be seen by using the different optical instruments. So let us begin with the topic, that is optical instruments.
If you want to study this topic in detail, refer to the book by S. Publishing. Link is provided in the description box.
Myself, Dr. Narendra Kaur. Welcome to S. Academy. So, optical instruments are what? So these are the how we can visibly see to the objects. So that is given by the different optics. So that means the study of light that is visible to our naked eye, that is known as an optics. And the instrument which is required in order to see the different objects, that instruments are known as optical instruments. How we can see the objects, so that can be seen by our eye. And if we are not able to see the objects, then different kind of lenses are used. Second, if we want to enlarge the image of the object, then magnifying lenses or the magnifying glasses are used. So by combination of all these things like our eyes, lens, and then magnifying glasses, different kind of telescopes, magniscopes, these are get formed. So these are the different optical instruments which are formed by using the different optics behind them. The different optics behind them is the use of eyes, use of lenses, and also use of the magnifying glasses. So these are the images or the things which are get used in order to see the different kind of objects around us. So then the study of light that is visible to our naked eye, that is known as optics. Now, in optics, we also study the ways by which how we can extend our vision and perform the other tasks. Then optical instruments, these are the instruments that reflect and refract light to form images by using mirrors and the lenses. That means how we can see the different objects. Firstly, the light is fallen on the object, then it is get reflected and refracted. After that, there occur interference of the light. So there must be constructive interference or the destructive interference. Due to interference of that light, we are able to see the objects. So that can be explained like this. For example, if we want to see this object, how we can see this object? Firstly, the light will be fallen on this object. As the light is falling on this object, so some portion of the light that will be reflected, and some portion of the light that can be refracted. So when the light is get reflected, so from different paths, so there occur constructive interference and destructive interference. So by using all this interference pattern and the reflected light, we are able to see the upper side of this object. That means firstly the light is incident on this object. If we want to see the upper surface of light, so firstly what are the basic requirement behind this? First is that the light must be there. If there is no light, there is dark everywhere, we are not able to see the objects. So first thing, there must be light. That means the light will be incident on the object. As the light is incident on the object, some portion of the light get reflected and some portion of the light that will be refracted. Now from the reflected portion of the light, so there are the large number of waves will be present over here. Due to all these large number of rays or the waves which are present over here, there occur constructive and destructive interference. So due to constructive and destructive interference over here, in some ways we are getting the maximas or the minimas. So we are able to see the front side of the object. Now some portion of the light that will be get refracted. Due to that refracted or the transmitted portion of the light, then again here from refracted and the reflected portion of the light, again there occur constructive and destructive interference pattern. So by this we can see here the lower portion of the object. So the object that can be properly seen when we incident light on the given objects. So the light must be there. So some portion of the light which is get reflected and some portion of the light that will be refracted. So due to combination of all these three things, firstly there is a incident light, second one is a reflected light, and third one is a refracted light. So due to combination of these three things, by using the optical instruments, now this reflected light, so whether there is a maximum, where is a minimum, so all these things or the interference pattern that can be seen by the Michelson's interferometer. So here we can use a Michelson's interferometer, because by that we can see the reflected portion of the light. Again also here another interferometer that will be used in order to see the lower surface of the object. So for the in order to see the upper surface of the object, lower surface of the object, some optical instruments are needed. That optical instruments are known as, the optical instruments are based upon the phenomena of getting light by reflection and by the refraction. So that means the optical instruments, these are the instruments that reflect and refract light to form images by using mirrors and lenses. Then how we can use the mirrors and lenses over there? So that means now if the light is getting over here, so light is get reflected. So that means now from any object, if this is the object and the light is incidenting on this object, then some portion of the light that is get reflected. How we can converge this light to the single point so that we are able to see that portion of the light which is illuminated with light. If we want to see this portion of the light of the object, so that can be seen by the reflected light. Now this reflected light that will be converges to single point by using lens over here. So that means the lens that must be placed over here. So by using the lens over here, this incident light that will be converges to a single point. So here we are getting the convergent light, or again interferometer that will be placed over here. So when the interferometer is placed over here, we are able to see the object properly over here. So or otherwise we can use the mirrors also over there in order to converge the light over the single point. So this is the things in the optical instrument which are used in order to converge the or in order to see the objects properly. So optical instruments, they are based upon the phenomena of reflection and refraction. So by reflection, we are able to see the upper portion of the object. By using the refraction, we are able to see the back portion of the object. And that light is get converged by using the mirrors and the lenses. For the invention of optical instrument, so then again there is a knowledge of light is required. So what does it mean? That means that we must have the knowledge of reflection, refraction, then there is a interference. So interference, which is again of two type interference, that can be constructive interference or the destructive interference. So we are able to see the maximas and minimas of the object. Then again some of the optical instruments that can be telescope, microscope, cameras, etc. Optics and optical instruments are the devices that process the photos to enhance the images for viewing and analyzing. That means optical instruments, we are able to see the tiny objects also by using the microscopes and the telescopes. That means the things which can never be seen by our naked eye, we can be able to see that objects or that images or other things also that can be seen by using the microscopes. We know that in the cord there is a bacteria are present. So we are not able to see that bacteria by the naked eye, but that bacteria in the cord that can be seen by using the microscope. So these optical instruments are used by enhancing or by enlarging the images of the tiny objects. So that means the tiny objects that can be analyzed. While we know that what are our eyes, these are the natural optical instruments and that are allows us to see the images of the objects, or properly we can see the objects. So these are the optical instruments. So that means, so what are the basic requirement of the optical instrument? So optical instrument, for the optical instrument we can use what things? So firstly there is a, that means there are some telescopes and microscopes. So what are their use? So where they are used over here? Microscopes, they are used to see the tiny objects. Means very small objects, very small or having the size in the nano range. Means the objects which can never be seen with the naked eyes. So all these things that can be seen by the microscopes. For example, if we want to see bacteria that is useful for us in the curd, so that can be seen by the microscopes. Why? The telescopes, these are also optical instruments. These are used in order to see a far away objects. Far away objects mean, what does it mean? Means if we want to see the objects which are having a distance in the light years from us. So that means having a very large distance. So distance that must be in the light years. That means it is very large distance. So that cannot be scaled by using the scales or the meter scale or anything else. So these are the very large distance. In order to see the very far away objects, the telescopes are used over here. Again, these objects can be seen by the naked eyes or cannot be seen by the naked eyes because these are very far away from us. In order to see their proper structure and proper information, in order to get their proper structural information and how their size and how their looks like, so that can be seen by using the telescope. So for example, if we want to see the stars in the sky, so in that case, telescopes or the microscopes are the used. So that means telescopes, these are used in order to see the far away object, while microscopes, these are used to see the objects which are very small in size. So what is the physics behind these two things? So firstly, what is the physics over here? Firstly, the requirements are, in both of the cases, either there is a telescope or microscope. The basic things which are required, these are the lenses. Second one, that is a light. So all these things that can be done in the presence of light only. Third one, that is the requirement of the light knowledge. So that must be there. We know that the light which is get incident, some portion of the light that will be get reflected, and some portion of the light that will be get refracted. So incident light must be there, reflected light and the refracted light. Fourth, we must have knowledge about the interference pattern, because it is of two types. Interference that can be constructive or it can be destructive interference. So it can be constructive or destructive interference pattern must be there. Then third one, last one, that is the requirement of eye in order to see the constructive or destructive or the interference pattern. So by using these 5 things, we are able to see the things, or we are able to see the objects, whether they are far away from us or whether they are very small in size. So we are able to see the magnifying images of the object. So by using this, so telescopes and other microscopes or the other optical instruments, these are used to see the magnifying images of the objects. So magnifying images of the objects that can be properly seen. So whether the objects are, if the objects are placed very far away from us, by using the telescopes, objects appears to be very close to us. We are able to properly see the objects. While in the microscopes, the objects or the bacterial form or the anything which are not, even though which are not able to see by the naked eye, we are able to see their magnifying images. So let us take a short break. So till now we have understood what are the optical instruments. So what is the basic physics required behind them in order to see the objects, or in order to see the magnifying images of the objects.
Now quality learning is easily available at your doorstep. S-Chand Academy brings detailed lectures based on AICTE curriculum as per the New Education Policy 2020. So do not forget to subscribe to the S-Chand Academy and access the wide world of knowledge conveniently sitting at your home. Stay connected and keep watching S-Chand Academy. Happy learning!
Welcome back to S-Chand Academy. So now before break, we have understood what are the optical instrument and what is the basic science behind them in order to see the magnifying image of the object. Now we will understand what are the different kinds of optical instrument, how we can see the different objects. So first optical instrument, so these are the listed as, first are the eye lenses, then there are the magnifying glasses, telescope, microscope, or the different lenses. So all these are the optical instruments. Now what are our eyes? How we can see the images of the object? So that can be seen as, we know that in eyes, firstly the light is falling on our eyes, then it expands the dark images and then contract in the presence of bright light. Means we know that when the light is falling on our lenses of the eye, so there occur contraction of the light and the expansion. So due to contraction and the compression of that light which is falling on our eye lens, we are able to see the different objects. That means we are able to see the different parts of the object. So that will be easily done by our eye. We know that in the lens, how we can control the light which is falling on our eye retina and how the light is get focused, because there the eye lenses are present in our eye. So due to that, firstly the light is falling on the muscles of our eye. So by that muscles, the focal length of the eye, that will be varied. So what is the meaning of focal length? Focal length basically depend upon the size of the lens which is used. So depending upon that focal length, we are able to see, or we are able to converge the light at the single points. So that means in case of lens, now if there is a lens over here, so depending upon the size of length and how it is able to contract the light, that means if the light is falling on this object, so depending upon its focal length, it will be able to converge all the light to a single point. So what does it mean? So that means if there is a one lens over here and the object is placed over here and the light is incident on this object, that means we want to see this object properly. Now, some portion of the light we know that will be get reflected from this point, and some portion of the light that will be get refracted. So by the refraction of the light, we are able to see back side of the object, and by the reflection of the reflection of this light, we are able to see this portion. Means if this is the point A and this is the point B, in order to see this face A, that can be seen by the reflection of the light, while the face B of the object, that can be seen by the refraction of the light. Now this light will incident on this lens. After that, at a single point, that light that will be get converges. So this point, at the point where this light is get focused by the given lens, so that we are able to see this face of the object, that is known as focal length of this. This is known as focal length of this lens. So that is represented by F over here. So this will depend upon this distance also. Now if this is a screen, or from where we want to see the back side or the front side of the object, so that is if this distance is d over here, and then again maximas and minimas of the objects that can be formed. So this length is called the focal length of the lens, how we can converge the light at the single point. So by using this concept, we are able to see the different portions of the object. So now in order to see the optical images of the objects, so basic optics behind that must be there. So that must be there. The light, it will be get reflected or it can be get refracted. So from our eye, so there are the different concepts are get used how the light is falling on the back side of our back side of the eye. So there are the some components which are present, some of portion, or that means the retina of our eye, that will act as a sensor. That means it will give us the signals. So by using that lens, or by using the focal length of that lens, we are properly able to see the image of that objects. Now now we know that this area must be very small. So that is behind our eye. So this area is very small, and its length, that is 1/4 of mm in size. So where we know that 1 mm, that is equals to 0.1 centimeter, and its size, that means it is 1/4 of the mm. So its size, that is very small. That is 0.1, that means 1 by 40 centimeter. So 1/40th of the part of 1 centimeter, that size is very small. So that's why we are able to see the objects in our given eye. So that means in our eye, the incoming rays that will enter into the cornea of our eye, then they will reach back to the eye, to the retina of our eye. Now, in experimentally, how we can explain this? Now, if that is the presence of lens over here, so that means in the front end. Now, if this is our eye, so firstly, how we can see the object? So in the object, if this is the object, the light will be falling on this object. So before information, how the information is reached to our eye? So before the eye, so there is in the back side, there is a presence of retina, and in the first portion, cornea, that is present over here. So at back end, retina of our eye, that is get acted. So all these things, they are in different in sizes. So while its size, that is around 1 by 4 mm. So that is around 1 by 40 centimeter. That is very small in size. Lenses. How we can, why there is a requirement of lenses? So lenses are basically required in order to see the objects which are very close to us, or in order to see the objects which are very far away from us. So that means when the objects, they are very close to us, we can use the lenses. That means in order to see properly to the objects, so lenses are required. So that means when in order to see the objects which are in the very present to near points, and then when the objects which are present to very far away from us, so lenses are required. What is the basic principle which existed behind this? Now concave lenses, and there are the two kind of lenses present over here. One is a concave and second one is a convex lens. That means we want to see now the objects which are present far away from us and the near to us. So these lenses are used in order to focus the points or focus the objects, images of the objects which are present far away from us. While these are used when the objects are present near to us. So these are the two kind of lenses which are used in this case. Now, in order to focus the images which the light which is get reflected or refracted from the objects which are present far away from us, so these kind of lenses are used. So now we know that in order to see the proper images of the objects, so there are two kind of diffraction patterns are also get formed at the tip of the objects. So by using that diffraction pattern, we are able to see the proper images of the object. So depending upon that, now there are the two kind of lenses are over there. So now the diffraction, this is again of two types. One is a Fresnel and second one is a Fraunhofer. Now, Fraunhofer diffraction is get used when the objects are placed very far away from us, while the Fresnel is used when the objects are present near to us. So, by using that diffraction of the light which is around the bending of the corner of the objects, that means we are properly able to see the objects in that cases. Again, depending upon the focal length of the objects, we are able to describe the images of the object. So that means, when the person having a near point to us, so again depending upon the focal length. So focal length of objects that must be within the given range in order to see the objects images properly. So concave lenses, they are employed to focus the far off diverging light rays to our retina. When there is a near point is present which is further than the 25 centimeters. So this is the focal length which is fixed for the object. So what is 25 centimeter? So this is taken the near vision of the eye, or you can say that is the focal length of the eye lens. So these are the lenses which are used in our glasses in order to make our eye to properly see the objects. When we are not able to see properly images of the objects, in that cases these different kinds of lenses are get used. So while the focal length of our eye lens, that is equals to 25 centimeter. So depending upon that, whether we are able to see the objects within this given range, lenses with the near focal length or lenses with the far off focal length, they are get used in order to see the objects. Now, when we are in that cases, when we are not able to see the objects which are present very far away from us, so in that case, the lenses are get used in order to converge the light at the single point, so that in our retina of our eye, the images of the objects that can be seen. Okay, next is the magnifying glasses. So what are the magnifying glasses? Again, magnifying glasses are used in order to produce the enlarged images of the objects. So magnifying glasses, they are get used in order to present in order to show us the enlarged images of the objects. Now, why this image is called the virtual image, not the real image? Because we know that in real, the size of the objects that cannot be enhanced. So that is the size of the objects that will remain constant, while the magnifying images of the enlarged images of the object that can be seen by using the magnifying glasses. That means if we want to see the small objects, which are, again there comes a point which is a focal point of our lens, a focal point of our eye or our lens, that is a 25 centimeter. So depending upon that distance, we can able to see the small objects to our given point. So the images of that points that can be enlarged over there. So firstly, the magnifying images, they are only used in order to see the virtual images, while real images of the objects that can be used without using any magnifying glasses or the lenses. So that means small objects are like that. So these magnifying glasses are used in case of, microscopes. So in order to make the small size of the objects with the enlarged images, while when we want to bring the objects very close to us, they are very far away from us and we want to get the objects very close to us. For example, if we want to see the stars in the sky, how we can see? So that can be used by the telescopes. So that telescopes get used in order to bring the images of the objects which are very far away from us to our given focal length or of our eye. So that can be used by using the telescopes. So these are the magnifying glasses. In order to conclude the lecture in one line, I can say that the optical instruments are get used in order to see the images of the objects within the given range.
If you want to study this topic in detail, refer to the book by S. John Publishing. Link is provided in the description box. If you found our video interesting, please like, share and subscribe. And do not forget to press the bell icon.
All rights reserved. This video has been prepared for educational purposes only. No part of it may be reproduced or copied without the permission of the copyright holder.